So, good afternoon and good morning for those attending also from the US. My name is Günther Flamm, and I'm happy to see that many people have registered for this webinar. So it really looks like automation and SAP still is a very interesting area. Since more than 20 years, thousands of customers are using Automic to automate their SAP businesses. And also for many years, quite a number of customers are asking us, when will Automic expand to areas like infrastructure, so to even cover a broader area of SAP automation? This is what we are talking about now and what we want to share today. And when we say we, it is Nicolas and myself, Nicolas Roggenberger, who will present the second part of the webinar today. Yeah, and myself, Günther Flamm from Tricise, giving you an intro on the agenda and the main areas. So let's please go to the next slide. What is on our agenda today? First of all, we want to talk about challenges that we see in SAP operations. And for sure, we also want to cover the solution approach with seamless orchestration and SecOps or security operations. Afterwards, Nicolas will take over and give you a short overview on automatics, do a brief introduction there, then show how Automic and automatics work together with some predefined action packs that we have developed over the last months. What we will then end up in a real life example where we show you, on the one hand, Automic more on a PowerPoint level, because most people attending here know Automic, so we don't need to go into the UI and show it there. But we will then show you how this interacts and integrates with automatics and what can be done in automatics to achieve an even higher level of automation. Good. So let's cover first the current challenges in the SAP operations. And I think this is something that many people in the SAP basis teams and security teams see. First of all, it gets more complex. I mean, years back, it was SAP R3, then it was SAP NetWeaver, SAP HANA. Nowadays, we are talking about SAP RISE, SAP Growth. So lots of different sub areas that need to be covered. And I think the most complex one, obviously, is the hybrid environment, because yes, many companies are going towards SAP RISE or planning to go towards SAP RISE, but what we see there, many companies have their defined plans that they will do this in the next 3, 4, 5 years. So there will be for quite some time a hybrid environment, and this needs operations on all different areas of the SAP landscape. With this complexity, also the security risks are increasing, because obviously you need to do your monthly security badges, you need to do the certification management, stay compliant, and the more complex the environment is, the more complex it will be to implement those security rules and security badges. And for sure, like always, there's time pressure. Yes, there are some defined maintenance windows, but they become shorter and shorter, and there are dependencies between the business and the areas where you can do maintenance, and this also needs to be covered by an end-to-end automation solution for SAP from our point of view. Now, let's go to the challenges that we face with Automic. So, as mentioned before, Automic is used by thousands of customers worldwide. Lots of them do SAP automation. And what we really do there is we cover the business process layer. So we are running the reports, we do the file transfer from one SAP system to another, we fill the data warehouse, whatever is required here, but we really stay on a business process level. But if there are changes on the operating system or security level, this can cause severe service interruptions, and this can impact successful business process execution. So it is important that there are dependencies and clearly defined windows where activities can take place, and where tools like Automic and automatics have dependencies and inform each other about certain parts that are ready, that can be taken over, and I don't know, instead of the business area, then the infrastructure area can do the automation parts. So really a tricky situation, because Automic stays on the business layer and does not really have good knowledge on what's happening on the infrastructure layer. And when we then take a look at the challenges from automatics, it's quite the same challenge in Automic, but from the other direction, obviously. So clearly automatics covers batching, certification management. All these can be coordinated and is well under control. But the part that's linking is the business part. So when are the right timeframes, when are the right slots to do those updates, to do this certification management parts? And obviously this needs interaction with a technology that runs the business processes. And this is exactly where we see the dependency of Automic and automatics, and how we together can really help the customers to improve the automation level. Next slide, please. So what is our solution approach? Obviously, it's orchestration and security operations from a single source. So in combining and integrating Automic and automatics, this is something that we want to achieve. And next slide, please. Want to combine here best of breed for SAP operations and security. What means we have their Automic in doing the orchestration layer, and automatics taking care of the infrastructure automation, but having there the link, and together having full transparency in a hybrid SAP landscape about all the required automation processes that need to be executed by an environment. Next, please. So how do we do this? I would not call it an architecture. It's more a marketecture. But what we do here, obviously, you see Automic with its integrations into SAP. So as before, this will stay. So we do the automation of the reports through the RFC calls. We do the file transfer, everything that customers are used to from an Automic point of view. But we also have built, and we are the orchestrator there, but we also have built an action bag where we use the REST API of automatics and integrate automatics and give them some tasks that have to be or can be executed on an SAP infrastructure layer. And what is also important there, whenever we have executed this, we also for sure get the feedback and can store the output in Automic. So you can see this like with many other technologies where Automic is, let's say, the umbrella. It knows the end-to-end process, and automatics is working closely and is executing on an infrastructure layer, security patching, operating system patching, certification management, all these tasks that are required in a larger SAP environment. Okay. So today, in the next, let's say, 30 minutes, we really want to cover on how does this partnership and integration really work. So how is Automic and automatics integrated with our action packs, and what can we achieve there? But as there are many use cases that we can cover, we decided that we will do multiple different webinars for certain use cases. So it makes no sense that in 45 minutes we try to cover all the areas. Again, today we want to show how on a high level the integration works, and then in webinars planned from February to June, we really want to go into certain areas and go in more details there and explain how this can work in an environment where you want to manage your SAP systems. Obviously, we will inform you about the dates in detail. Today we have defined months. I would assume that in the next weeks we can share the detailed dates and give you then the opportunity to register exactly for the webinar that you are interested in. I mean, we are happy if you decide to join all the webinars, but I would assume that there are certain areas where you have more interest, and obviously you can then decide which one is the one you want to go for. And with this, I think we are now coming to the automatics part. Automatics.ai is the company and automatics is the product. And yeah, I'm happy to hand over here to Nicholas Roggenbauer, who will from now on walk you through the technology.
Thank you, Günther. Hello from my side. I'm the Managing Director of automatics.ai, and I will guide you a bit through the automatics portfolio. First of all, we heard about the challenges before from Günther, and it's important to understand why you need tools like automatics or Automic at the other hand. And we see on our customer sides 3 different areas which they are facing on. This is, for example, the increasing cyber threats. Everyone knows it. It becomes more and more with artificial intelligence. It becomes easier for them to get information out of the systems or to perform ransomware attacks and so on. So you have to think about all this hardening stuff on the system layer. The market and regulatory pressures on the other hand. So you have several different certifications, audits. You have to provide reports, information out of the systems at the best way in a real-time scenario. And on the other hand, you have limited resources in your team to handle all these requirements and needs to have a secure and up-to-date system. So we are facing all these challenges in different areas, and to perform stable and up and running and secure systems, it's important to use automation for all this stuff. And what we see is there are several tools on the market which focusing on the monitoring aspect, which are providing generic automation platforms. But we would like to bring these 2 areas together within a SecOps lifecycle. So it's important that you identify security gaps in your configuration, maybe to protect your data as well with some of our features. And with one step, with the automation possibilities, you can respond, you can operate your systems on a daily basis, on a monthly basis. You can discover all your system architecture and configuration, versioning, and so on. So you have the full transparency inside of automatics for the operation stuff in the SAP basis area. Therefore, automatics is providing 5 different hubs, some which are focusing more on the security and compliance side, some more really on the operational side, like the maintenance window activities and so on. And with all these hubs in combination, we can address both sides in a really automated manner. And for sure, with the challenges Günther mentioned before, so automatics is not the only tool which can handle all the operational security like business process orchestration. So it's really important to provide softwares which can integrate in a most easy way to each other to keep the efforts away from the customers for the integration, for example, of automatics and Automic. And what does this mean in detail on the automatics portfolio side? We have these 5 different hubs. In the middle, we have the transparency hub, which identifies and audit all the relevant infrastructure parts like certificates to get the information in which sec store in the AS Trust you have certificates in place when they are running out, when they have their expiration date. And security nodes from the security badge there, for example, or different system configurations like profile parameters, database parameters, some system compliance checks, all out of the compliance guide of the community. So the best practices are in place and the standard audit checks are in place. And based on that, you really get a transparent view your security state of your systems. And in addition, you can monitor your in and outbound interfaces on your system. On the left side, you have the operation hub, which is the basic maintenance activities you have with some SAP systems in the different products like Java system, ABAP system, Web Dispatcher, Cloud Connector, T-Rex, content server, and so on. So it's important, first of all, to have the architecture in place that you can set up automation on that on top. And therefore, we deliver ready-to-use workflows for simple starting, stopping, restarting activities, which is really the baseline for maintaining a system. We can set up system messages for the communication to the end users in the SAP system. And then based on top, we can perform the patching operations for every layer in the infrastructure, beginning from the operating system over the databases, the SAP components like kernel, host agent, diagnostic agent, and so on. And our software is capable to discover cluster configurations, HA configurations as well. So we are able to perform near zero downtime patching as well, which becomes more and more important if you have a Automic integration for sure, because then you can keep the downtime of a maintenance window as short as possible, because you have the integration to the business processes, to the backend jobs, which has to be finished at the end of the day or at the beginning of the next working day. And we are able to manage system-wide profile parameters, HANA database parameters. So it's quite easy via our orchestration in Automatics to have one central entry point for configurations and manage them via your complete landscape. The lifecycle hub is a bit deeper in the application level of the SAP system. So here we are talking about transactions like the S-Node, the S-Trust, spam saint transactions, where we can really manage in a live scenario certificate changes, uploads, nodes, implementations on the development systems, updating support packages, or installing third-party support packages via the same transaction. Some of the BTP stuff is still in progress. We already have the discovery of the BTP landscape, so of global accounts, directories, sub-accounts, all their entitlements, and so on, in the same manner that it's that you, as an operational responsible person, can see all your components of the landscape, not only the on-prem components. It's possible to get it for the BTP landscape, for your RISE landscape as well, to have a holistic approach over your operation model. The refresh hub provides some pre- and post-copy activities. There are several tools in place as well. On Automic side, the advantage is we can decide in the best of breed scenario which activities should be done in which tool in the best and efficient way, especially if we think about client copies as well, so we can combine it in an easy way with the capabilities of Automic as well. The security hub is more a specific topic regarding data breaches or data exfiltration topics, so data leak prevention at the end. So we are focusing on SAP data which is leaving the SAP system. So every customer is focusing fully on role and access controls within your SAP system to be sure that no one can access the data in the SAP system itself. But several customers miss this point that the data is leaving the system at any time. For example, via data transfer in Automic, and then it has a post-processing. And the same you have if you download a CSV file to send an email with some sensitive data inside to any vendor or something like that. And then you cannot manage where the data is used for, or if you have a phishing attack or something like that, maybe you have a data exfiltration. And Automatics is addressing this area with a data export monitoring or logging mechanism. So we identify based on table content, on transactions, on geolocation information, so on metadata of the data itself, if it's confidential data or not. And based on that, we can classify and encrypt documents based on our Microsoft Purview integration. So it's mandatory to have Microsoft Purview in place. But with these capabilities, you can bring the documents out of SAP in the same lifecycle, in the secure lifecycle and managed lifecycle of Microsoft. So the document is every time in hands of the company and not without any information where the document is used for or stored, and who has access to this data inside of the document. Yeah, this is a short overview with a bit of explanation behind. All of these functionalities are really ready to use. You have a custom workflow engine in the Automatics platform as well, so it's easy to integrate Automic functionality bidirectional. So Automic can access us as a leading system if you have maybe some changes or something which is started on the operation side. You can, for example, ask for a status of Automic regarding a batch processing, if it's finished, how long does it take, and then wait for the correct step that you can start with your operation and hand over once again all the information to Automic, that you have a complete audit trail at the end of the day, which is important once again for the regulatories, that you can show all the changes in your system and all the dependencies to the business processes.
Nicholas, one important topic. So obviously, if you have questions, please, you can use the chat or the Q&A section, and we will cover them at the end of the webinar.
Thanks. Yeah, very important. And really feel free to ask the questions. We have enough time later on to go through your questions and answer them. Yeah, the next step would be to show you how this will be handled really on the technical level between Automic and Automatics. So we decided for the first step to take a more generic use case. For example, you have a business process which is really important that it will be finished before the operational tasks will start. So the leading system is Automic, and Automic is ensuring that the complete process will be handled consistently, secure, and end-to-end with all the informations you need. And Automatics, as an example, performs a simple SAP kernel change with moving the information back to. So yeah, as you know, we meet on customer side. Most of the time, the system's up to date. We do not have enough maintenance windows for all the activities we have to perform. So we have quite short maintenance windows, and we have to put as much into the maintenance windows as possible. So with the Automic integration, it's easier to keep the maintenance window as short as possible, because you have a direct interaction between these two tools, and you do not have to wait for a ticket or to a colleague which is commenting something in the service request. You take over the service request and handle the rest in the operational area. So this is a template for all these use cases we mention in the next webinars, and The main point is the integration is really easy to handle, and therefore Tricise provides an action pack which is really ready to use. You have all these necessary activities already in place, the authentication to automatics to get the token back, calling workflow functions in automatics, handover parameters, and get status information back about the status in automatics. And this is ready to use and can be set up really fast to start with your integration of these two tools. In this sample scenario, you have your well-known Automic steps. These are the pre-steps. So, for example, you have a monthly closing activities with different tasks. It's more generic written here. And at one point, you will or you would like to give automatics the go for the operational tasks. And we are working via REST handovers at the end, or REST API calls for the authentication and for handing over all the necessary triggers and informations we need. And as next steps, you have these tasks in the action pack or jobs, if it's the right wording. I'm sorry for that. And as mentioned before, handles fully automatic the communication between Automic and automatics. So as you can see, one task is calling these jobs and getting a token for the authentication every time. So we are really securing the communication between these two tools. And then Automic is triggering the right workflow. Here is written subcopy, but we are using the kernel change in that case. And then Automic can check as often as necessary the current status, can check for different status information that Automic can decide, for example, if automatics workflows are getting failed, if the Automic workflow has to fail as well or to stop at this position, and the administrators has to solve the problem before the workflow can be finished, or if it succeeded, you can directly went through the next steps and continue with the process without any interruption. So I would like to show you shortly how it looks like in automatics. So from the Automic perspective, you know all these activities. And then automatics is get triggered by, we call it Automic Tricise. So you see with this user that via the API call, the sub-kernel change was triggered. Automatics is running this workflow step by step with all our templates we have in place. As mentioned before, it's ready to use. And we have several parameters which can be used as a template in automatics or can be handed over via Automic, via variables, for example, through the complete business process if necessary, like the SID, or if you would like to restart the service, if it's necessary or not, or this information. And then you have a step-by-step automation workflow. Looks a bit different than in Automic, but you have all the necessary log information about a kernel change. You have a validation that the files are correct for this operation. And then we are performing the kernel change itself, making a backup in front of that. We can automatically perform a rollback if we have a backup. So it's every time quite good to handle it in really an end-to-end process to be sure that you do not have inconsistent system states at the end. So you can perform a VM snapshot, a database snapshot in front of our activities as well, and combine all these activities. Yeah, at the end, a restart. So this is the process in automatics. Maybe I give you some more information about the parameters. So automatics is able to connect to the SAP portal and to the software center. So you have here the wizard, which is not necessary because Automic is calling all this information, but that you understand what we can handle within this configuration. So you can decide which systems has to be part of this kernel change automation process. You get all the necessary and active kernel files, SAR files in that case. Based on our internal CMDB, we know which kernel patches are newer than the current one. We have the informations about Unicode, the database files, independent DB2, Linux x86, for example, and we can assign, based on our CMDB configuration, the correct SAR files to the specific system. Why can we do that? Because we have a fully automatic discovery, we have a system landscape, and have all the information in place we need for all these infrastructure changes. So, for example, this system has two application servers, one central instance, one database, with the following installed components, clients, and so on. So, based on this information, it's quite easy to handle all these activities fully automatic between these two tools. And yeah, during the runtime, if we are having a status running and not succeeded or a status failed, this is exactly the information which is communicated every time between Automic and automatics. And for sure, at the end, we can hand over all this log information in a structured form to Automic, that you have a complete audit trail. But at the end, as well in automatics, you have all the logs here in place, and you can use it from the perspective you need. So if you have the operation team, maybe they are working a bit more in automatics. If you have the business departments and the job management team, they are working more in Automic for sure. But the main advantage is both has the same information, has the same state of the process, and that's the way how best of breed works. We put into the slides some screenshots that you can have a look later on again. And yeah, for sure, all this information are totally consistent in the SAP system. Automatics is just using standardized processes for all the maintenance activities. We are using the S-Trust, we are using S-Node, and we are using the same process on operating system level like an SAP Basis admin do or does within a manual activity. Yeah, once again. Yeah, Günther, I'm happy to hand over to you back.
Yeah, thank you. So thank you, Nicholas. As mentioned already at the beginning, our goal today was to give you an overview on how automation, besides the business area, can also happen in the infrastructure area. And by combining those strong technologies, I think we really can get to an end-to-end automation scenario. And yeah, by having the interfaces, we can optimize batch windows, maintenance windows, and yeah, we hope that this is also something that you are interested in. And here again, as a summary, the planned webinars that we are looking for